Chapter 31, The Yellow Path of Medicine. Exiting the company, Xiao Chen turned and inquired, "De Han, you haven't told me yet, what illness does your mother have?"
Li Han's honest expression dimmed, his large frame trembling slightly.
Lung cancer, advanced stage. Lung cancer in the advanced stage? Xiao Chen's hand on the steering wheel trembled slightly.
Initially, he thought it was a common illness that he could treat. But advanced stage lung cancer, he had no solution for it either. This was a terminal illness, seemingly with no foolproof method worldwide to fully cure it. When we first came, the doctor said there was hope with active cooperation in treatment. Later, the doctor said there was no hope, and asked us to go home. A shade of pain flashed across Li Han's face, his fists clenched tightly, the veins bulging on his robust arms. "De Han, life, aging, sickness, and death are things beyond anyone's control," Xiao Chen consoled. "They clearly said there was hope for a cure. Why did they later say it couldn't be cured? I don't want my mother to leave Maine this world, she's my only kin." Li Han's emotions became agitated, tears as big as beans rolling down his cheeks. Xiao Chen looked at the anguished Li Han, wanting to offer a few more words of comfort, but didn't know what to say. Should he tell him that because they came with money, the hospitals said they could be cured, but when they spent all their money, they were sent home to wait for death? This might be the reality, but saying it out loud would be too heart-wrenching. "Sob, I don't want my mother to die," the burly man suddenly cried like a child. Xiao Chen slowed down the car, patting Li Han's shoulder. "De Han, don't cry. Perhaps there's a way out, maybe a miracle will happen, maybe your mother won't leave you." "Really?" Li Han raised his head, sniffing. "Yes, truly, I won't deceive you, Brother Chen." Li Han nodded, wiping his tears. "Yes, my mother is a good person, I believe the heavens won't take her away. Yes, good people lead peaceful lives." Xiao Chen looked at Li Han, his face full of tears, smiled, and made a decision in his heart. Passing by a shopping mall, Xiao Chen stopped the car, bought some nutritional supplements, then found a medicinal cuisine shop, preparing to stew some mild tonic. "Sir, hello, may I ask what tonic you need?" The staff of the medicinal cuisine shop approached, smiling. "Do you have all the ingredients?" "Sir, we are the largest medicinal cuisine shop in Longhai. We have all kinds of Chinese herbs and other ingredients. Over there are also Chinese medicine doctors and professional medicinal chefs. You can consult them." "No need, just give me paper and pen, I have my own prescription." Xiao Chen shook his head. The staff paused, but still provided paper and pen, handing them to Xiao Chen. "Sir, if it's your own prescription, we won't take any responsibility, and our medicinal cuisine shop still needs to have the prescription reviewed by our medicinal chef." "Okay." Xiao Chen took the paper and pen, considered for a moment, and wrote down a prescription. "Brother Chen, do you understand this?" Li Han was a little worried, after all, this was something for his mother to drink. "Do you trust me?" Xiao Chen asked. Li Han didn't hesitate, nodding. Though he was simple, he wasn't foolish. He could feel that Xiao Chen was genuinely kind to him. Xiao Chen smiled and handed the prescription to the staff. "Let your medicinal chef review it. Xiao Zhang, let me see this prescription." Suddenly, an old man dressed in Tang costume next to him spoke to the staff. "Master Yao, hello." The staff saw the old man, their expression becoming extremely respectful, bowing slightly and presenting the prescription with both hands. Xiao Chen looked at the old man with curiosity. Who was this person? From his attire and demeanor, it was evident that he was no ordinary person. Could he be the owner of the medicinal cuisine shop? Seeing Xiao Chen looking at him, the old man showed a gentle smile. "Young friend, I'm also considered half a member of the medicinal cuisine shop. Let me help you review it." "Senior, please." Xiao Chen smiled and nodded, indifferent to who reviewed it, it was the same. The old man carefully examined it, his eyes widening as he read, his expression becoming more and more astonished. Then suddenly, he raised his head, looking at Xiao Chen and asking, "Young friend, may I ask, is this prescription for what kind of patient?" "Hee, senior, what do you think?" Xiao Chen smiled faintly, also thinking a few thoughts. "Mullein, pungent in taste, cold in nature, belongs to the lung meridian. North San ginseng, sweet and bland, cold in nature, belongs to the lung meridian. Ophiophagon japonicus. From these Chinese herbs, the patient's ailment should be in the lungs, correct?" Xiao Chen nodded exactly.
And the white-flowered hediotis, could it be lung cancer?
The old man continued. Senior is correct, advanced lung cancer.
Then may I ask, what is the purpose of these ingredients? Clearly, it's a prescription for clearing heat and detoxifying, dispersing lung heat. Why would there be herbs with a fishy and hot nature?
The old man pointed to several herbs on the paper.
Senior is truly talented. If it were an ordinary Chinese medicine practitioner, I'm afraid they would question me about why these herbs were randomly added. But Senior didn't. I guess you must have noticed something.
Xiao Chen smiled and said. The old man was stunned, then he smiled too.
Why don't you think I'm a mediocre person? If I couldn't understand the prescription, I wouldn't have pointed it out, would I? Indeed, but since this place can become the largest medicinal cuisine shop in Longhai City, it shouldn't harbor mediocrity, right?
The old man was momentarily surprised, then raised his thumb. Young friend, your insight is unique, very well put.
Agreed, but let them stew the medicinal cuisine first, Xiao Chen said.
The old man nodded and handed the prescription to the staff. Xiao Zhang, make the medicinal cuisine according to this prescription, put your heart into it.
Yes, Master Yao. The staff respectfully nodded and went to arrange it. Young friend, please.
The old man gestured, leading Xiao Chen and Li Han inside.
Entering the room, the old man invited the two to sit down, then eagerly asked, I've seen similar statements in an ancient medical book before, but because that book was incomplete, I didn't fully understand it. Later, through my research, I found that what was mentioned there was feasible. Senior, do you mean the yin-yang medical canon?
Xiao Chen's interest was piqued, asking.
The old man stood up abruptly upon hearing this. How did you know? Would you believe me if I said I've read the entire book, Senior?
Xiao Chen smiled mischievously.
The entire book? That's impossible. I only came across a fragment by chance.
The old man was somewhat unsettled, no longer as carefree as before. Xiao Chen didn't elaborate further, but recited a passage from inside, listening to which the old man became thoroughly unsettled. It was identical to the content of the fragment he possessed. Young friend, may I ask whose disciple you are? The old man inquired.
I learned from an old fortune teller. An old fortune teller?
The old man was dumbfounded.
Learning medicine from a fortune teller? How peculiar. Senior, about the prescription just now.
Xiao Chen didn't dwell on the issue of lineage, but started talking about the prescription. The old man straightened up slightly, listening carefully, occasionally raising his own questions and opinions, discussing with Xiao Chen. Beside them, Li Han was also quite pleased. Though he didn't understand what Xiao Chen was saying about yin and yang, it made the old man listen like a primary school student, indicating that Brother Chen indeed had real skills.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Over 10 minutes later, the old man slapped his thigh, wearing a big smile on his face. Listening to your insights today, young friend, is truly akin to studying for 10 years.
Senior is too kind.
Oh, I was so engrossed in learning, I forgot to ask, what's your name, young friend? The old man remembered something and asked.
My surname is Xiao Chen. All right, Xiao friend, here's my business card.
The old man took out a business card and handed it to Xiao Chen. Taking it, Xiao Chen found the card quite simple. It only had the name Medicine Shi Huang on it, along with a phone number. Without any further introduction, but with just this simple name, Xiao Chen's heart trembled.
Could it really be him?
Just now, when the staff outside addressed him as Master Yao, he thought of a person, Medicine Shi Huang, the honorary president of the Chinese Medical Association, one of the 3 renowned physicians in the Chinese medical community. Because the surname Medicine was rare, coupled with the extraordinary temperament of this old man, and the strong smell of Chinese medicine emanating from him, he speculated in this direction and unexpectedly guessed correctly.
Master Medicine, I've heard of your name. Oh? It's just an empty name, let's not talk about those.
Medicine Shi Huang waved his hand.
Master Medicine, how come you're here? Xiao Chen asked with some curiosity.
Oh, this medicinal cuisine shop was opened by my nephew. I happen to have some matters in Longhai these days, so he asked me to come over when I had time. I didn't expect to meet Xiao friend here, truly fate.
So that's how it is. It truly is fate.
I didn't expect to randomly choose a medicinal cuisine shop and encounter one of the contemporary giants in the Chinese medical community.
We've already said not to talk about those empty names.
My little skill in medical arts is nothing in front of young friend. With your thorough reading of the complete Yin Yang medical canon, you will surely shine in the future.
Brother Chen, is this old man? No, is this old gentleman very skilled in medicine?
Suddenly, Li Han spoke up.
Yes, Master Medicine is one of the 3 renowned physicians in the Chinese medical community. Xiao Chen nodded. Can he save my mother? Li Han asked excitedly. Young friend, what illness does your mother have?
Medicine Shi Huan looked at Li Han and asked.
What illness? Li Han didn't understand. What illness does your mother have?
Medicine Shi Huang was stunned, then rephrased it.
Lung cancer in the advanced stage. Divine doctor, can you save my mother?
As long as you cure my mother, I'll serve you like an ox or a horse for the rest of my life.
Li Han exclaimed loudly.
The corners of Medicine Shi Huang's mouth twitched a few times.
Advanced lung cancer?
Even if he were a master physician, he wouldn't be confident about such a terminal illness.
Chapter 32, Get Out of the Ward.
After listening to Li Hanho's story, Medicine Shi Huan was also moved by his filial piety and decided to go to the hospital with them. More importantly, he wanted to befriend Xiao Chun and see if this somewhat mysterious young man had any special methods to treat lung cancer.
Xiao friend, which hospital is Li Hanho's mother in? Longhai Second People's Hospital.
Hearing it was the second hospital, Medicine Shi Huang raised his eyebrows and smiled. I have a student working there, perhaps I can help a bit. Xiao Chun understood Medicine Shi Huang's intentions and chuckled inwardly.
This old man was probably hooked by the Yin Yang medical canon.
If he found out that the old fortune teller had used it to wipe his bottom, he might jump up.
Alright, then we'll trouble Master Medicine. No trouble, let's leave after the medicinal cuisine is ready.
Medicine Shi Huang waved his hand and pointed to the fragrant tea brought by the staff.
Come, Xiao friend, let's have some tea first.
After about half an hour, the medicinal cuisine was ready, and the 3 of them left the medicinal cuisine shop carrying the dishes.
Xiao friend, what do you think about medicinal cuisine?
Medicine Shi Huang seized every opportunity to communicate with Xiao Chan and chatted as they headed to the hospital. There's an ancient saying that goes, medicine is not as good as food. What we call food therapy now is essentially medicinal cuisine. This method is gentler and healthier.
Xiao Chen expressed his opinion.
Medicine Shi Huang nodded repeatedly.
Exactly, health should be maintained in everyday life. When illness strikes like a mountain collapsing, it's a bit late.
So, when my nephew decided to open a medicinal cuisine shop, I also agreed with it.
In the midst of their conversation, they arrived at the Second People's Hospital.
After parking the car, they headed straight to the inpatient department. A few minutes later, in a room with 3 beds, Xiao Chen saw Li Hanho's mother. Somewhat unexpectedly, she was a petite woman. It was hard for him to imagine that such a small woman could give birth to a son as big and burly as Li Hanho. Li's mother was dozing, her face sallow. Even in her sleep, there were flashes of pain on her face, indicating the torment of her illness.
Perhaps hearing the movement, Li's mother woke up slowly when she saw Li Hanho. A loving smile appeared on her face. Da Han, you're back. Mom, I'm back. Li Hanho nodded and picked up the medicinal cuisine in his hand. Mom, Brother Chen bought some delicious food for you. Have some? Brother Chen?
Upon hearing this, Li's mother looked at Li Hanho and then at Xiao Chen and Medicine Shi Huang behind him.
She tried to sit up and asked, Da Han, who are these 2? Auntie, I'm Xiao Chen, Da Han's colleague. Xiao Chen smiled and introduced himself. Colleague? Yes, Da Han has been successfully hired. Oh, hello.
Li's mother seemed quite happy to hear that her son had been successfully hired.
Auntie, this is Master Medicine. He's a famous Chinese doctor in China.
This time, he's also here to diagnose you. Xiao Chen introduced Medicine Shi Huang to Li's mother again. Li's mother was surprised.
Medicine Master? Could he be the famous Medicine Shi Huang?
It was said that it was difficult to even beg for a prescription from Medicine Shi Huang. How could her son have invited him? Impossible, the old man in front of her was definitely not Medicine Shi Huang, just someone with the same surname.
Hello, I'm here to check your pulse.
Medicine Shi Huang smiled kindly at Li's mother and then sat down beside her. Although Li's mother was surprised, she remained calm on the surface and handed her hand to Medicine Shi Huang.
Please, Master Medicine.
Medicine Shi Huan placed his fingers on Li's mother's wrist. After 3 or 4 minutes, he glanced at Xiao Chun and shook his head slightly, indicating that the disease was terminal and beyond cure.
Master Medicine, if you have anything to say, just say it.
Li's mother noticed Medicine Shi Huan's actions and spoke softly, I know my body.
I've been prepared for a long time.
Medicine Shi Huan looked at Li's mother and sighed, it's already quite serious. I don't have any good methods at most, I can alleviate your pain. With these words spoken by Medicine Shi Huang, it was basically a death sentence.
As one of the 3 renowned physicians in the Chinese medical community, if even he couldn't treat the disease, then there weren't many who could.
Of course, there were exceptions, masters existed among the common people. Although Li's mother was prepared long ago, her eyes dimmed slightly upon hearing this. She wasn't afraid of death, but she was reluctant to leave her straightforward son alone, fearing that he couldn't take care of himself or would be led astray by others.
Li Hanho's smile also froze. Even this old man couldn't save his mother's life?
Perhaps unable to bear to see Li's mother lose hope, Medicine Shi Huang added, you don't need to think too much.
Attitude is important. Maybe miracles will happen. Li's mother forced a smile and nodded. Thank you, Master Medicine. Auntie, let me take a look. Suddenly, Xiao Chun stepped forward and spoke. You?
Li's mother gazed at the youthful and handsome visage of Xiao Chun, momentarily stunned.
He understood traditional Chinese medicine as well? I've spent a few days studying under my grandfather, delved into several medical texts. Hence, I thought to offer you a diagnosis. Fortunately, Master Yao is also present.
If I make any errors, he can provide guidance, Xiao Chen modestly remarked. Exactly, mother, let Brother Chen take a look at you.
He's been learning from Master Yao.
Beside them, Li, with his simple demeanor, filled with hope once more, spoke out loudly. Xiao Chen pursed his lips.
This simpleton, even if he thinks highly of me, does he need to express it in such a manner? How can Master Yao endure such flippant remarks?
He stole a glance at Yao Chi Huang. Indeed, the esteemed physician hailed as the national medical sage, was visibly twitching at the corner of his mouth.
Li, refrain from speaking out of turn.
Li's mother reprimanded before turning to Master Yao, offering an apologetic smile. Master Yao, please pardon him.
This child. Well. It's nothing. Rare is the unadulterated innocence, Yao Chi Huang chuckled and shook his head. Xiao Chen seated himself. Auntie, extend your hand to me, please. All right.
Li's mother didn't refuse, even though she harbored doubts about what this young man could discern. Xiao Chen extended his index finger, pressing it against Li's mother's pulse. He closed his eyes slowly, meticulously sensing the rhythm of her pulse.
Observing Xiao Chen's pulse-taking technique, Yao Chi Huang's gaze narrowed. The one-finger suspension pulse? As time ticked by, Xiao Chen's expression wasn't as relaxed as at the outset, occasionally furrowing his brows, sometimes appearing grim.
Unable to contain himself, Li, wanting to ask how it was going, hesitated, fearing to disturb Xiao Chen. He held his breath until his face flushed crimson.
Hey, you finally came back. I thought you'd ditch your mom and run off.
Suddenly, a person in a white coat walked in, pointing at Li and shouting.
Lower your voice, don't disturb Brother Chen from treating my mom.
Li furrowed his brows, staring at the person in the white coat.
Tending to her illness?
The young doctor, taken aback, looked at Xiao Chun, who was taking Li's mother's pulse, with a mocking smile.
Li, are you naive or just foolish?
Your mom is in the late stages of cancer, beyond cure.
Yet you sought out a traditional Chinese doctor? Not only that, but such a young one?
Clearly a charlatan.
Shut your mouth.
Li suddenly erupted, stepping forward and grabbing the collar of the young doctor with a slight exertion, he lifted him up.
Ah!
The young doctor dangled, feet off the ground, his face drained of color.
Why would this guy resort to violence? Li, let him go, no violence allowed.
Li's mother, seeing her son resort to violence, also changed her expression, hastily interjected.
Li glared at the doctor, his complexion pale.
Only after looking back at his mother did he grit his teeth and release his grip.
How dare you resort to violence? It's barbaric. Today, I'll make sure to expel you.
The doctor regained his footing, stepping back a few paces, creating distance, and pointing at Li.
You dare lay a finger on me? Absolutely uncivilized.
I'll call security to throw you out, then have the police arrest you.
Only when you've paid off your debts will you be released. The doctor's loud tirade drew the attention of several people in the corridor. Dr. Chen, don't be angry. Dr. Hua said that as long as Big Li earns enough money and pays off the debt, it's fine, right? Li's mother forced a smile, trying to appease. Earn money? How much can he possibly earn? 3 or 5,000 a month? When will he be able to repay? If it weren't for Huaxi's guarantee, the hospital would have thrown you out long ago. Hearing the young doctor's words, Yao Chi Wang raised an eyebrow. He glanced at Xiao Chun, who was still examining the pulse, suppressing his thoughts about helping the Li family. He wanted to see how this somewhat mysterious young man would handle the situation. Dr. Chen, is Dr. Hua around? I'd like to speak with her, Li's mother pondered for a moment, softly requesting. Enough already, stop relying on Dr. Hua to bail you out. She's on a business trip since noon, no one can help you this time. Director Chen said, you have 2 hours to repay and leave the hospital, otherwise, we'll call the police to arrest you. Li's mother's expression shifted slightly. Dr. Hua is on a business trip? Have you said enough? If you have, then leave the ward. Suddenly, a cold voice cut through, and Xiao Chun, who had been taking Li's mother's pulse, slowly opened his eyes. The atmosphere in the ward immediately quieted down. Everyone instinctively looked at Xiao Chun, including the arrogant young doctor. Auntie, don't worry, leave it to me. Xiao Chen released Li's mother's wrist, gave her a gentle smile, stood up from the bench, and turned to the doctor. This is a place for patients to recuperate, not for you to flaunt your authority. Leave. Upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, the 2 patients on the adjacent beds and their families secretly applauded. Their relationship with the Li family was good, naturally sympathizing with them. Moreover, this doctor's behavior was indeed too outrageous, too heartless. You punk, what did you say? The young doctor finally reacted, growing furious. I'm a doctor here, telling me to leave? Who do you think you are? A doctor? Do you think donning that white coat makes you a savior of lives? Xiao Chen sneered, pulling out his bank card and handing it to Li. Go, pay off all the medical bills owed, and toss this fellow out for me. Chapter 33, Conspiring Together? Upon seeing the bank card handed over by Xiao Chun, Li Hanho hesitated for a moment. Instead of taking it, he glanced at his mother lying on the hospital bed. Mr. Xiao, this. Li's mother shook her head, gratitude evident on her face. We cannot use your money. Auntie, Big Li and I are colleagues, more importantly, friends. No, the medical expenses owed are substantial, nearly over 50,000. It's too much. Li's mother persisted, feeling uneasy about accepting such a large sum from someone she just met. Moreover, she didn't know Xiao Chun well. She feared that accepting this favor might lead to obligations in the future, such as her son being asked to engage in illegal activities. Auntie, just focus on recuperating, leave the rest to me. If you truly feel uncomfortable, consider this money as a loan I'm extending to Big Li. When I deduct it from his salary or consider it as an advance payment, how about that? Xiao Chen spoke sincerely. Mom, Brother Chen is a good person. I'll go pay the medical expenses. Li Hanho also spoke up in a low voice. Li's mother looked at her son, then at Xiao Chen's genuine smile. After hesitating for a moment, she finally nodded. Mr. Xiao, thank you so much. Consider it an advance from Big Li's salary. All right. Xiao Chen didn't mind. Once the money was out, he never intended to ask for it back. Not for anything else, but for Li Hanho's sincerity and filial piety. Hey, isn't this different from the usual tricks of ordinary swindlers? Stop pretending. Is there really money in the account? The young doctor sneered. If you really have money, go pay the bills and check out. Brother Chen said, let me toss you out. Before the young doctor could finish, Li Hanho stepped forward, grabbed his collar, and with a tug, threw him out. Rolling and tumbling. The young doctor rolled on the ground, crashing into the corridor wall, screaming in pain. Good job, Big Li. You can't be polite with people like this. Xiao Chen looked at the disheveled young doctor, grinned, and gave Big Li a thumbs up. Hee, I'll go pay now. Li Hanho, who had been holding back his anger, now felt much better after throwing out this despicable person. Assault. Call security, someone assaulted a doctor. You bastard, how dare you hit me? Hit me again if you dare. The young doctor finally crawled up from the ground, raging and glaring at Lee Han-ho smack. Lee Han-ho nodded, landed a slap on the young doctor's face, then revealed a simple and honest smile. I tried, what are you going to do about it? Onlookers felt dizzy. Was this kid doing it on purpose? Xiao Chen also chuckled. It served this brat right for getting slapped. Didn't you realize how sincere Bigley is? You. The young doctor held his stinging face, glaring furiously at Lee Han-ho but dared not utter another word of hit me again if you dare. Move aside, I'm going to pay. Lee Han-ho pushed aside the young doctor blocking his path and headed towards the payment counter. Humph, hit me and still want to stay in this hospital? The young doctor gritted his teeth. Even if you have money, you still have to leave. Lee Han-ho halted at these words, turned to look at the young doctor, and pondered. Was what this guy said true? If it was, then why bother paying a penny? Heh, so arrogant? Is this hospital your family's property? Xiao Chen, who had been watching coldly, stepped forward to the door of the ward and said disdainfully, that's right, this hospital is indeed my family's property. What about it? My dad is the head of the oncology department. Hit me and still want to stay for treatment? Dream on. The young doctor arrogantly declared. Approaching the young doctor, Xiao Chen's tone turned mocking. Head of the oncology department? Oh, what a lofty position. Since when did a hospital for the common people become your family's domain? Even if your dad is the department head, or even the hospital director, you still don't have that authority. Who says I don't have that authority? Just then, the crowd parted, and a Mediterranean-looking man walked in. He first glanced at the slap mark on the young doctor's face, his expression darkening slightly. In this oncology department, I, Chin Dahai, am the boss. You hit my son and still want treatment here? Let alone terminal cancer, even if there's a chance of cure, we won't treat you. Dad, you finally came. I came to urge Lee Han-ho to pay, and they. The young doctor's spirits lifted upon seeing the newcomer, speaking loudly. Don't worry, Dad will get justice for you. Chen Dahai said in a deep voice. Heh, I thought this kid was quite arrogant just now, turns out his dad is even more arrogant, huh? Xiao Chen sneered coldly. Chen Dahai looked at Xiao Chen. And who might you be? Dad, he's a swindler. I saw him pretending to diagnose Lee Han-ho's mother earlier. The young doctor pointed at Xiao Chen. A swindler? Chen Dahai was taken aback, then sneered. Now swindlers dare to come to hospitals to cheat? Kid, believe it or not, with one phone call from me, I can have you sent to the police station. And do you believe that with just a flick of my finger, I can make you famous nationwide? Xiao Chen retorted, waving his phone in hand. I've recorded the arrogant behavior of Director Chen just now. If I post it casually, you might become a celebrity. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Chen Dahai's expression suddenly changed. He was well aware of the power of the internet nowadays. Any minor incident, if it gained attention online, could lead to terrible consequences. Onlookers were dumbfounded. Recorded it? This guy wasn't playing by the rules at all. However, Huang Yaoqi, who had been observing from the sidelines, flashed a hint of admiration in his eyes. To disrupt the situation as an outsider was a sign of talent, using available opportunities effectively was a sign of a strategist. Just as Chen Dahai was struggling with what to do, 7 or 8 security guards wielding batons rushed in. Director Chen, we're here. Seeing these security guards, Chen Dahai felt relieved. As long as they could control this guy, delete the videos from his phone, everything would be fine. Thinking this, he sneered a few times, waving his hand. Righteously control these troublemakers and swindlers who disrupt hospital order. Later, hand them over to the police to prevent them from endangering public safety and property. Yes. The security guards responded and surrounded Xiao Chen and Lee Han-ho, ready to take action. Stop. Seeing the situation escalate, Huang Yaoqi finally spoke up. And who are you? Chen Dahai looked at Huang Yaoqi, furrowing his brows as he noticed his extraordinary demeanor. Dad, he's with this swindler. Definitely an old scammer. The young doctor pointed at Huang Yaoqi. Hearing this, Chen Dahai relaxed. He sneered, so it's a group of scammers working together. Control them together. Heh, I've always heard about scams, now I finally see it. Xiao Chen couldn't help but laugh. To dare call the honorary president of the Chinese Medical Association an old scammer was really asking for trouble. Old scammer? Indeed, Huang Yaoqi's face darkened. He had been practicing medicine all his life, saving countless lives. This was the first time he had been called an old scammer. The next moment, Huang Yaoqi took out his phone and dialed a number. Hello, teacher, why do you have time to call me? The call was just dialed out, and it was immediately answered, a respectful voice coming from the other end. Teacher? Humph, now I've become an old scammer. I can't live up to your title of deanly. Huang Yaoqi said without much patience. What? Teacher, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Give you 1 minute, come to the inpatient department of your hospital's oncology department. If you can't make it, I won't have a student like you. Huang Yaoqi said, then hung up the phone directly. Chen Dahai looked at Huang Yaoqi, suddenly feeling a sense of unease. Who was this old man calling? Dean Li? Could it be Dean Li Shang, the director of the second hospital? With this thought, he broke out in a cold sweat. If it was indeed a call to Li Shang, then things would be disastrous. What are you waiting for? Go ahead and arrest these scammers. The young doctor urged when he saw the security guards not moving. Let's see who dares. Li Hanho shouted, blocking Xiao Chen and Huang Yaoqi in front of him, displaying a demeanor that no one could penetrate, causing the security guards to hesitate. Stop. Chen Dahai stopped the security guards and looked at Huang Yaoqi, his tone much gentler. Old sir, who are you? Didn't your son call me an old scammer? Huang Yaoqi said with a disdainful snort. Cough, the child doesn't understand, old sir, please don't take offense. Chen Dahai smiled apologetically. Old sir, may I ask who you called just now? Huang Yaoqi couldn't be bothered with this guy. He felt that this father and son duo weren't worthy of the white coats they wore, let alone the 4 characters of compassionate doctors. Just as the situation was somewhat deadlocked, a panting voice came from afar. Teacher, I'm not too late, am I? As the words fell, a slightly obese middle-aged man squeezed into the crowd. He came to Huang Yaoqi, bent down slightly, his face full of respect. Huang Yaoqi looked at the sweating middle-aged man, a hint of a smile appearing on his face. But he deliberately snorted and said, look at you sweating so much. As a doctor, how can you let your body become so weak? Teacher, I was in the office. Please give me a minute. I ran all the way here, but there were too many people in the elevator, so I had to climb up. The middle-aged man gasped for breath, feeling a bit aggrieved. Alright, later I'll give you a checkup and prescribe something to regulate your body. Sitting in the office all day, it's inevitable to have various problems. The middle-aged man was overjoyed upon hearing this. Thank you, teacher. I knew you cared about me. Stop with the act. Deal with the matter at hand. I've been called an old scammer. Huang Yaoqi said impatiently. What? Who dares to call my mentor Li Shang an old scammer? The middle-aged man became furious, looking around. Chapter 34. At least 3 years. Gazing at the indignant middle-aged man, the surrounding onlookers were all dumbfounded. Apart from some patients, the doctors and nurses from the second hospital recognized the man before them, a somewhat resembling figure to Eric Sang, the director of the second hospital, Li Shang. Especially the previously arrogant Chen family father and son, now beads of sweat dripped down their foreheads. They were finished. How did they provoke this revered figure? How come everyone's tongue-tied? Who dared to call my mentor a swindler? Li Shang's tone carried a hint of anger. It must be noted that without Yao Chihuang back then, there would be no Li Shang today. As the saying goes, a day as a teacher, a lifetime as a father in his eyes, Yao Chihuang's status was no less than his own biological father's, even more revered. Doctors, nurses, and patients subconsciously cast their gazes towards the young doctor. It was he who had labeled Yao Chihuang as such just now. The shift in the surrounding gazes naturally didn't escape Li Shang's notice. He coldly turned his gaze towards the young doctor. Xingyu, was it you who spoke? Director. Director, I didn't know. The young doctor's body trembled slightly, wanting to offer an explanation. You still recognize me as the director? Let me ask you, if he's my mentor, the person I respect the most, and you call him a swindler, what does that make me? Tell me, what does that make me? Li Shang asked coldly. Director, Chen Yu is still young and ignorant. Seeing Li Sheng explode at his son, Chen Dahai couldn't help but speak up. You, shut up. As soon as Chen Dahai spoke, it seemed to ignite a powder keg. Li Sheng turned to glare at Chen Dahai. Your son is young and ignorant, and you are also ignorant? Chen Dahai, you usually spoil your son. It's one thing to be arrogant in the oncology department, but dare to call my mentor a swindler? Li Sheng finished, pointing to his own nose. Then am I a petty swindler? If I'm a petty swindler, what does that make you?
Chen Dahai, being rebuked by Li Sheng in front of so many people, felt a mix of anger and shame. Just as he was about to retort, he suddenly remembered something, his body trembled, and he stared wide-eyed at Yao Chihuang.
Li Sheng's mentor? It was said that Li Sheng's mentor was none other than Yao Chihuang, one of the 3 renowned Chinese medicine practitioners in the country. Could it be that the elderly man in tang suit before him was Yao Chihuang, the honorary president of the Chinese Medical Association? Are you Master Yao? Chen Dahai's face turned extremely pale, his voice trembling. Now you recognize my mentor's identity? Afraid? It's too late.
Li Sheng's words indirectly confirmed Yao Chihuang's identity, which made Chen Dahai's legs go weak, almost falling to the ground. Honestly, he wasn't particularly afraid of Li Sheng, because he had someone backing him up. Moreover, he had received news that in at most 3 months, he could make a move on his position and become one of the deputy directors of the second hospital. But upon learning that the elderly man in front of him was Yao Chihuang, he was genuinely afraid. Yao Chihuang, the famous national medical expert today, with disciples scattered throughout the health system, holding high positions. It was said that even the big shots in the imperial city were quite close to him. Not to mention a mere director like him, even his superior or even the mayor of Longhai City, would greet Yao Chihuang with smiles and courtesy when they met, respectful and polite. After all, in a world where illness could strike anyone, befriending a divine healer meant having an extra lifeline during critical times. Li Sheng looked at Chen Dahai with a sneer in his heart. Chen Dahai, oh Chen Dahai, you think you can flaunt yourself just because you've attached yourself to a big tree, not even sparing me a glance? Well, now that you've offended my mentor, not to mention you, even that big tree behind you will tremble. Could someone tell me what just happened? Li Sheng's gaze swept around, finally settling on an associate director. He was one of his men. Seeing Li Sheng looking at him, the associate director's heart skipped a beat, quickly stepping forward to recount what had just happened. Directly, I have a video here, I believe you might be interested in seeing it. Xiao Chun, who had been watching the commotion all along, spoke up slowly. Oh? What video is this, sir? Li Sheng was quite polite. He discerned from his subordinate's words that this young man was associated with the teacher. He was secretly curious, could this be a new student taken in by the teacher? Anyone who could accompany the teacher was bound to shine brightly in the medical field in the future. Li Sheng, let me introduce you. This is Xiao Chun, Yao Chihuang introduced in a timely manner. Hearing the teacher's personal introduction, Li Sheng was even more surprised. It seemed that the teacher valued this Xiao Chen greatly. Could he be the teacher's closed-door disciple? It should be noted that in China, there's a distinction between students and disciples. The latter holds a higher status, receiving inheritance and teachings. Before Li Sheng could respond, Yao Chihuang added, Xiao young friend is on the same level as me in terms of friendship, so you can call him your senior. Li Sheng was dumbfounded. What? Same level of friendship? Senior? Xiao Chen was also speechless. Senior? What kind of relationship was this? Cough, Director Li, just call me by my name. Li Sheng glanced at Yao Chihuang discreetly. Seeing no objection, he breathed a sigh of relief. Calling a young man senior in front of so many people would be a loss of face. At the same time, he was exceptionally shocked. What background did this young man have that made the teacher treat him as an equal? It must be extraordinary. As various thoughts raced through his mind, Li Sheng flashed a friendly smile and extended his right hand. All right, then I'll just call you by your name. Don't call me Director Li, just call me Lao Li. Okay, Lao Li, here's the video, take a look. Xiao Chen shook hands with Li Sheng and handed him the phone. Li Sheng's face darkened as he watched the video. Ridiculous. Is this still a doctor? More arrogant and overbearing than the underworld. This matter must be dealt with seriously. Chen Dahai's face turned pale. He knew it was over. Even if he didn't die this time, he would lose everything. I hereby announce that Chen Dahai and Chen Yu are suspended from their duties, and relevant departments will be involved in the investigation and handling.
Li Shang was truly angry. He didn't expect this father and son to be so audacious. Upon hearing this, Qin Dahai sat on the ground, knowing he couldn't withstand the investigation. Once investigated, it would be over for him. As for Chen Yu, he was even more unbearable. His biggest reliance was his father, but now even his father was finished. Alright, everyone disperse. Li Shang couldn't be bothered to look at the Chen family father and son anymore. Creating a scene in front of so many patients. It would tarnish the reputation of the second hospital if it got out. Xiao Chen, here's your phone. Li Shang returned the phone to Xiao Chen with a smile. Today's incident, I apologize on behalf of the hospital. Let's delete this video. Xiao Chen nodded. Now that the Chen family father and son had been dealt with, he didn't feel like posting it online anymore. He deleted the video in front of Li Shang. Is this Mr. Li? Li Shang looked at Li Hanho apologetically. You can rest assured for treatment. As for the medical expenses, Director Li, whatever the medical expenses are, we won't deduct a penny. Also, please change Auntie to a single room. The environment here is a bit chaotic and not suitable for her recovery, Xiao Chen said calmly. Li Shang, you arrange it properly. Yao Qihuang also spoke up. Yes, teacher, I'll make sure everything is arranged properly. Li Shang nodded busily. Master Yao, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Please give me a chance. Suddenly, Qin Dahai, who was lying on the ground, crawled towards Yao Qihuang, pleading. Yao Qihuang looked down at Qin Dahai, with no sympathy in his eyes. You brought this upon yourself, there's no chance. Qin Dahai trembled, feeling powerless as he collapsed to the ground. Once again, take them away and hand them over to the relevant departments, Li Shang instructed the security guards. Then he looked at Yao Qihuang. Teacher, do you have any other instructions? No more. Yao Qihuang shook his head and asked Xiao Chen, Xiao young friend, you just finished checking the pulse, can you tell us the conclusion now? Hearing this, Li Shang was shocked. Xiao Chen was also a doctor? He had thought all along that Xiao Chen had an extraordinary background, hence the teacher treating him as an equal. Now it seemed that wasn't the case at all. Li Hanho and Li's mother also looked at Xiao Chen, especially the latter, who was not calm. She had initially thought that this elderly man in tang suit was just coincidentally surnamed Yao, and she couldn't believe he was Yao Qihuang. But after what had just happened, it was enough to prove that it wasn't just a coincidence of the same surname, and this old man was indeed one of the three famous doctors, Yao Qihuang. So, she was quite shocked how could her son have managed to invite Yao Qihuang. However, she quickly understood that it wasn't her son who invited Yao Qihuang, but this young man named Xiao Chen. Let's change the room first, Xiao Chen said. There are still 2 patients in this room, and it's not appropriate to discuss certain things in front of them. It wasn't that Xiao Chen was heartless, it was just that his personal ability was limited, and he also needed to pay a certain price. Yao Qihuang's eyelids twitched. Could this kid really have unique insights? He looked at Li Shang, who nodded in understanding, and began to arrange it. With Li Shang as the director, changing rooms became much easier. It only took 10 minutes for Li's mother to be arranged into a VIP room. Alright, Xia young friend, there's no one else here now, speak up. Yao Qihuang couldn't wait to ask. Master Yao, my diagnosis conclusion shouldn't differ much from yours. It's late-stage lung cancer, but fortunately, there hasn't been any metastasis. Judging from the pulse, Auntie has at most 2 months left. Xiao Chen paused for a moment before speaking slowly. Yao Qihuang nodded. It was consistent with his diagnosis, and even the time wasn't far off. This proved that Xiao Chen's medical skill should be no less than his own. 2 months? Li Hanho's eyes turned red. So, his mother would leave him in just 2 months? Xiao Chen patted Li Hanho's shoulder and comforted, Big Han, although I can't cure your mother, I can alleviate her pain and prolong her life at least, for 3 years. At least. 3 years? This statement stunned everyone, especially Yao Qihuang, who jumped up from his chair directly. Chapter 35, You don't die, he doesn't get hurt. Patients in the late stage of cancer can experience organ failure at any time, leading to a painful death. Even Yao Qihuang, revered as one of the 3 famous doctors of Chinese medicine, couldn't defy fate and extend a patient's life by much. At most, he could only try to alleviate the patient's suffering. But now, Xiao Chen's words were astonishing. He claimed to be able to extend life by at least 3 years, which truly seemed like defying fate. Can you really extend life by 3 years? Yao Qihuang widened his eyes, asking anxiously. Xiao Chen nodded, yes, I can, but it's not easy.
How do you do it? Yao Chi-huang instinctively asked, but then chuckled awkwardly.
Such secrets, who would reveal them? Acupuncture. Acupuncture? Yao Chi-huang was even more surprised.
Although he had immersed himself in Chinese medicine for a lifetime and studied acupuncture extensively, it was the first time he had heard that acupuncture could treat cancer and extend life. Yes, when I treat Auntie later, I'll need Master Yao's assistance.
Upon hearing this, Yao Chi-huang became excited. I can be present? Of course. Xiao Chen smiled wryly. He knew exactly why Yao Chi-huang was so excited. In the field of Chinese medicine, many people had their own unique medical skills. When treating certain illnesses, they would exclude others, including their own disciples, to treat the patients alone. It was precisely because of this situation that many ancient medical techniques in China were lost due to various accidents, disappearing into the river of history.
Alright, I'll definitely cooperate well later. Yao Chi-huang nodded repeatedly on the side. Li Shang also recovered from his shock. His thoughts were different from Yao Chi-huang's. He thought that if Xiao Chen could really extend the life of terminal cancer patients by 3 years, it would definitely cause a sensation worldwide. By then, there would probably be plenty of wealthy people coming to seek treatment from him.
As for the treatment fees, would it matter to him? And they would be in dollars too. Xiao Chen, can you really make my mother live for 3 more years?
Li Hanho was also excited, grabbing Xiao Chen's arm and asking loudly.
I can. But could you please release my arm? You're almost breaking it.
Xiao Chen winced in pain.
Oh, sorry, Xiao Chen, let me massage it for you. No, it's all right.
Xiao Chen quickly shook his head. This guy had no sense of strength. If he broke it after squeezing, then it would be a disaster. Auntie, have your medicinal meal first to replenish your nutrition. I'll treat you later. Xiao Chen looked at Li's mother, who was equally excited, and said with a smile. Yes, Mom, hurry up and eat your delicious meal before it gets cold. Brother Xiao bought it for you, and it smells amazing.
Li Hanho brought out the medicinal meal. Mr. Xiao.
Auntie, Big Han and I are friends.
You don't have to call me Mr. Xiao. Just call me by my name. All right, Xiao Chen. Your life-saving grace is greater than the heavens. We really have nothing to repay you with. Auntie, don't talk about repaying me.
I was moved by Big Han's filial piety.
He hasn't eaten for 2 days to save money.
Upon hearing this, tears streamed down Li's mother's face.
Big Han, you silly boy, how could you not eat anything? Mom, don't cry. I'm not hungry now. Brother Xiao bought me food earlier, and I'm full now.
Li Hanho wiped away his mother's tears and said with a silly smile.
How could you not be hungry after not eating for 2 days? When you were at home before, you couldn't stand it if you missed a meal. Mom, don't cry. I'm not hungry now. Brother Xiao bought me food earlier, and I'm full now.
Li's mother wiped away her tears and looked at Xiao Chen gratefully.
Xiao Chen, thank you so much. Big Han is so lucky to have met you. It's like a blessing from heaven. Hee, Auntie, please don't say that. Xiao Chen shook his head. Big Han, hurry up and feed your mother. Oh, okay.
More than 20 minutes later, Li's mother finished her medicinal meal, and Li Shang also followed Xiao Chen's instructions to fetch a set of silver needles for acupuncture. Li Shang handed the silver needles to Xiao Chen and said proactively, Xiao Chen, I'll wait at the door.
If you need anything, just let me know.
Hee, Laoli, there's no need for so much formality, just stay here. Xiao Chen took the silver needles and smiled.
Can I stay too?
Li Shang was somewhat surprised and pleased. Alright, close the door, let's start the treatment now, Xiao Chen said, disinfecting the silver needles before turning to Li's mother, who was half lying on the bed. Big Han, help your mother sit up with her back facing me.
Li Hanho stepped forward, supporting his mother. Xiao Chen, what about her clothes? No need to take them off. Oh.
Xiao Chen held the needles in both hands, assessed for a moment, then with a flick, 2 silver needles swiftly pierced into Li's mother's back.
Yao Chi-huang watched Xiao Chen's movements, his eyelids twitching.
It was said that even skilled hands found it difficult to handle 2 silver needles simultaneously. This method of using twin needles to stimulate acupoints had long been lost.
What's more, what stunned him even more was that Xiao Chen then grasped 4 silver needles, his movements becoming faster and faster, the needles landing accurately, as if flowing like clouds in water. Li Hanhou and Li Shang were also dumbfounded. Was this still acupuncture? Such extraordinary skill. Auntie, endure it, it will be painful. Suddenly, Xiao Chen reminded, and several bright silver needles were inserted into the lungs on Li's mother's back. Ugh! As the needles went in, Li's mother let out a painful cry, her frail body trembling suddenly. Mom! Hang in there! Hearing his mother's cry of pain, this man who had fought 2 black bears in the forest was heartbroken, his eyes turning red. Xiao Chen spread his hands, his 10 fingers dancing, and the brightly shining silver needles trembled rhythmically in an orderly manner. His complexion also turned pale. Yao Qihuang watched Xiao Chen's actions and the trembling needles, his gaze narrowing. Could it be the legendary Tai Divine Needle? Master Yao, help me seal the meridians. As the needles trembled faster and faster, Xiao Chen's face became paler, and sweat beaded on his forehead. All right. Prepared in advance, Master Yao also picked up 2 silver needles and swiftly made his move. However, instead of inserting them into Li's mother, he inserted them into Xiao Chen's back. As soon as the 2 silver needles touched his skin, Xiao Chen's condition improved significantly. His pale complexion turned rosy again, and his slightly trembling fingers regained strength. Time passed second by second, and after about 5 minutes, the silver needles on Li's mother's back stopped trembling. Auntie, endure it a bit longer. Xiao Chen reminded again and started to remove the needles. If observed carefully, one would notice that each needle had a dark purple pattern on its end, like blood vessels entwined. Big Han, help your mother lie down. Xiao Chen removed all the silver needles, placed them in an iron tray, poured alcohol over them, and lit a fire. Master Yao, help me remove the needles. All right. Master Yao removed the 2 silver needles from Xiao Chen's back, and he almost stumbled to the ground. Xiao Chen, what's wrong with you? Li Hanhou quickly supported Xiao Chen, who had no strength left in his body. Xiao Chen's complexion turned extremely pale, and his lower abdomen throbbed with pain, as if it was about to explode. It's nothing, just exhausted. I'll be fine after a rest. Xiao Chen forced a smile, leaning weakly against the chair. I'll take a look. Master Yao grabbed Xiao Chen's wrist and frowned. It's not just ordinary exhaustion, you already had old injuries, and now they've been aggravated. It's nothing. I'll be fine after a rest. Xiao Chen smiled indifferently, breathing out a sigh of relief. Li's mother looked at Xiao Chen's pale face, deeply moved. Weakly, she asked, Child, are you okay? Auntie, I'm fine. How do you feel? Xiao Chen shook his head, seeing gratitude and care in Li's mother's eyes. I feel much better. The pain is gone, and I feel much lighter all over. All right, that's good. Rest more, and you'll get better day by day. Xiao Chen smiled. Although he had paid a price, he felt it was worth it. Thud. Suddenly, Li Hanhou knelt in front of Xiao Chen. Big Han, what are you doing? Xiao Chen was surprised, trying to help him up, but he had no strength left in his body. Xiao Chen, my mother always taught me to repay kindness. You saved my mother, so my life belongs to you. I'll be your servant for the rest of my life, willing to do anything for you. Li Hanhou looked at Xiao Chen seriously. Big Han, get up. I didn't save your mother for you to repay me. Child, I can see that you're a good person. The grace of saving a life is greater than the heavens. Let Big Han stay by your side. Li's mother also spoke slowly. Auntie, it's not that serious. Child, I can tell. You're not an ordinary person. Let Big Han stay by your side. It'll provide you with an extra layer of security. Although he's straightforward, his martial arts skills are pretty good. Mom, I fought Xiao Chen once, and I lost. Li Hanhou turned around and said. Li's mother was shocked. She knew her son's martial arts skills well. He was just a step away from becoming a martial arts master, and yet he lost? Big Han came to apply for a job, and I tested him. I won, Xiao Chen also said with a smile. Li's mother looked deeply at Xiao Chen and made a decision. Big Han. Mom, what's wrong? Remember, from today onwards, you'll stay by Xiao Chen's side. Although he's stronger than you, when there's danger, you should stand in front of him and protect him with your life. You don't die, he doesn't get hurt. Understand? Li's mother's voice, though not loud, was very serious. Mom, I understand. Li Hanho nodded heavily. Xiao Chen was stunned. What was going on? On the other hand, Yao Qihuan glanced at Li's mother thoughtfully. Child, when you fought with Big Han, you should know that he practices Bagua Palm and Pai Gua Quan. Li's mother looked at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen nodded, not understanding what she meant. Loyalty and courage, using oneself as a shield, self-sacrifice, taking the lead in danger, that's the spirit of Bagua Palm. And because of this, Puyi, Chiang Kai-shek, and even Mao Zedong used descendants of Bagua Palm as their bodyguards. Li's mother said earnestly. Xiao Chen understood. He looked at Li Hanho, then at Li's mother, and said in a deep voice, Auntie, letting Big Han stay by my side is fine, but not as a bodyguard, as a brother. Chapter 36, Labor of Canines and Horses. Medicine Kehuang retook Mrs. Li's pulse. To his astonishment, the pulse had truly changed, much improved compared to before. With Kehuang's diagnosis, Mrs. Li and Li Hanho were even more grateful to Xiao Chen. This was truly a life-saving grace. Li Shang's gaze towards Xiao Chen had changed. A contemporary divine healer indeed. If he could be retained at the second hospital, it wouldn't take long for the hospital to gain renown in the world of medicine. Xiao Chen, no, Xiao brother, can we talk? What about? Xiao Chen was somewhat puzzled. I suspect this fellow has sparked your interest in staying at the hospital as a doctor. Kehuang, knowing his student quite well, chuckled. Ha? Stay at the hospital? As a doctor? Yes, Xiao brother, as long as you're willing to stay at the second hospital, I'll give you the highest treatment. How about it? Director title, what do you say? Li brother, please don't put me in a difficult position. I'm not really interested in being a doctor. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly, shaking his head. All right, Li Shang, don't pressure Xiao friend anymore. Let's go to your office, I'll give you a checkup, see how exhausted you become. Kehuang said with a smile. With the teacher speaking, Li Shang couldn't say much more. He could only unwillingly say, Xiao brother, if one day you decide to become a doctor, remember to contact me. Sure, definitely. Xiao Chen nodded, but inwardly he muttered, compared to saving lives, he was more adept at taking them. After Kehuang exchanged a few more words with Mrs. Li, he left the ward with Li Shang and headed to the director's office. Teacher, who exactly is this Xiao Chen? Li Shang finally couldn't resist asking. I don't know either. What? You don't know either? Li Shang was dumbfounded. I just met him today. Kehuang briefly recounted the previous events, leaving Li Shang astonished. Teacher, then what do you think Xiao Chen's background might be? Kehuang squinted his eyes and slowly said, this world is not as simple as we imagine, there are some aspects you have yet to come into contact with. He may be someone from another realm, or perhaps from a prestigious family of traditional Chinese medicine. Of course, these are just my speculations. Another realm? What do you mean? Don't ask too much, when you ascend further, perhaps you'll come into contact with it. And, don't spread today's events, to avoid causing a stir. Yes. Teacher, can Mrs. Li Hanho's mother really live for another 3 years? Kehuang glanced at Li Shang and nodded, judging from the pulse, it's possible. It truly is a miraculous technique against the heavens and fatal conditions. I'm also astonished. Well, let's not talk about him anymore, give me your hand. Kehuang didn't speak further, trusting that his student knew what to say and what not to. Li Shang nodded, offering his hand. Teacher, how many days will you stay in Longhai this time? I'll stay for another 3 to 5 days, why? Oh, if I had known you were coming to Longhai, I wouldn't have let Xiaoxian go to the seminar. Upon hearing the name Xiaoxian, Kehuang showed a kindly smile. Until next time then. I didn't tell her I came to Longhai. How is she doing at your place? She's doing great. She's kind-hearted and has superb medical skills, loved by colleagues and patients alike. Didn't cause you any trouble? No, she's already one of the hallmarks of the second hospital. Kehuang smiled and then thought of something. No one knows her identity, right? No. That's good, let her train more at your place. After saying this, Kehuang released Li Shang's wrist and looked at him with a strange gaze. Teacher, what's wrong? Li Shang's heart trembled. I don't have any serious issues, right? Please don't scare me. Li Shang, now that you're in a leadership position, you should also pay attention to your personal life, learn to restrain yourself. You seem a bit exhausted. Li Shang's face turned green in an instant.
In the ward, Mrs. Li fell asleep, and Xiao Chen's condition had also improved significantly. Dahan, these days, just stay in the hospital and accompany your mother more, no need to go to the company.
Brother Chen, I have to protect you, Li Hanho said somewhat awkwardly. Xiao Chen rolled his eyes. I need your protection? I'll give you a few days off, just come over the day after tomorrow for the job fair and show your face. Thank you, Brother Chen. Li Hanho nodded.
He might be simple-minded, but he wasn't foolish, he knew who genuinely cared for him.
Thanks, forget it. I'll come over often when I'm free. Alright, I'll leave first. I'll walk you out.
The two left the ward, and the door closed gently.
On the sickbed, Mrs.
Li, who had been dozing off, slowly opened her eyes. She glanced at the ward door, a hint of complexity flashing in her eyes.
She sighed softly. Was her decision right? Back then. Forget it, let it be. Xiao Chen arrived at the lobby downstairs, and soon Ke Wang and Li Shang arrived too. Xiao brother, tonight, it's my treat. Shall we dine together?
Hee, Li brother, I have some other matters tonight, another time perhaps.
Xiao Chen politely declined with a smile. Alright, another time then. Li Shang didn't insist, nodding.
Li brother, about Li Hanho, I appreciate your help.
Don't worry. Xiao Chen then looked at Ke Wang. Master Ke, shall I accompany you back? It's on the way, and I can ask you a few more questions. Ke Wang smiled and said.
Hee, Master Ke, your words almost flattered me.
Xiao Chen smiled wryly.
A few minutes later, the two drove away from the second hospital towards the medicinal cuisine restaurant. On the way, Ke Wang raised some medical questions, some of which troubled him. Xiao Chen provided his insights, and the old man's eyes sparkled continuously.
Yes, indeed, one sentence from a gentleman, worth 1,000 medical books. Ke Wang nodded repeatedly.
Xiao Chen chuckled inwardly. Some of these insights weren't his but what the old fortune-teller had said. Nevertheless, it didn't stop him from showcasing them to impress others. Half an hour later, the Hummer stopped at the entrance of the medicinal cuisine restaurant.
Young Xiao, won't you come in and have a seat? We can continue our discussion. Ke Wang asked somewhat.
Alright, Master Ke, take your time, Xiao Chen said as Ke Wang opened the car door. Just as he was about to step out, he suddenly remembered something and said slowly, Xiao friend, Li Hanho's mother doesn't seem like an ordinary peasant woman.
Ha? Xiao Chen was taken aback.
Farewell, let's keep in touch. Ke Wang didn't say much more, waved his hand, and got out of the car, heading into the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Xiao Chen watched Ke Wang's figure, deep in thought.
By the time he returned to the company, it was almost 5 o'clock. He didn't dare to delay and immediately sent the keys to Qin Lan.
Of course, inevitably, he was teased by Qin Lan again, which made him feel a bit irritated.
Damn, he used to be the one teasing women. When did he ever get teased like this by a woman? Sis is getting off work, remember to come to my office tomorrow to help out.
Qin Lan played with the car keys, looking at Xiao Chen who seemed a bit disheartened, and smiled sweetly.
Sis, do you need someone to help with chores tonight? Xiao Chen smirked. If you do, I'm willing to serve diligently. Oh really? Are you a dog or a horse then? Qin Lan stood up, approaching Xiao Chen, her breath fragrant. Are you cursing me?
Xiao Chen looked at Qin Lan's face, which was just inches away, and raised his eyebrows. No, I'm just curious about the difference between a dog and a horse.
What do you think?
Qin Lan glanced at a certain part of Xiao Chen's body, her tone playful. Xiao Chen was stunned for a moment, then he understood.
Damn, this girl is so dirty, but I like it. Sis Lan, do you think I'm more like a dog or a horse? I haven't tried either, so how would I know? Well, Sis Lan, aren't you interested in trying it out?
Xiao Chen said, wrapping his arm around Qin Lan's waist, his eyes lecherously falling on her ample bosom.
Smack!
Qin Lan slapped Xiao Chen's buttocks, teasingly saying, Sis isn't interested today. When I'm in the mood another day, I'll flip your cards over. With that said, she swayed her hips and walked towards the door.
Xiao Chen was stunned. Damn, what does this girl take me for? Oh, by the way, help me close the door.
Qin Lan flirtatiously raised her eyebrows, blew a kiss, and turned to leave. Clack, clack, the sound of high heels gradually faded away, and Xiao Chen finally came back to his senses. He looked down. Bro, sorry to inconvenience you. A ringtone sounded, and Xiao Chen answered the phone.
Hello, Ding Li. Bro Chen, I've bought everything you need. Let's meet tomorrow night for installation. Okay, just handle this matter yourself. Yes, Bro Chen. That's it for now, we'll talk about anything else tomorrow.
Xiao Chen hung up the phone, glanced at his wristwatch, and went to the next office, knocking on the door.
Come in.
Xiao Chen pushed open the door and saw Su Qing buried in work. Manager Su, it's time to go off work.
Okay.
Seeing it was Xiao Chen, Su Qing nodded with a smile. After a brief tidying up, the two left the office and drove away from the company.
How's the recruitment of security guards going? Is HR cooperating? Su Qing asked in the car. It's going well. I'll make sure the security department undergoes a transformation. Su Qing nodded, then remembered something. The Flying Eagles gang hasn't caused any trouble, right? Not yet, I'm still waiting for them. Talking about this, Xiao Chen was a bit puzzled. Wasn't the revenge supposed to be swift? Has the Flying Eagles gang become so cowardly? Even if the Flying Eagles gang was timid, shouldn't Lu Dakwai have made some moves? Don't be careless.
The Flying Eagles gang isn't an ordinary criminal organization.
I know.
Su Qing didn't say anything more. She turned on the car's MP3 player, and the car was filled with the sound of piercing police sirens from inside.
Now, an urgent local news broadcast: a bank robbery has occurred on East 39th Road, and the police are in pursuit of armed robbers. We advise the public to avoid the East 3rd District and ensure their own safety. Bank robbery?
Hearing this broadcast, Su Qing was somewhat dazed.
Wasn't this something only seen on TV? Driven mad by poverty?
Xiao Chen sneered. In his opinion, bank robbery was one of the riskiest crimes, only fools would attempt it.
Chapter 37, Pure Relationships.
Arriving at the high school, Xiao Chen picked up Su Xiaoming and headed towards the Tulip Villa.
Sis, did you hear? Something happened on East 39th Road. Some bold bandits robbed a bank. It's so freaking awesome. Su Xiaoming chattered as soon as she got into the car. What did you say?
Hearing her sister swear, Su Qing frowned.
Nothing. Su Xiaoming stuck out her tongue, looking playful and cute. No swearing, got it?
As a girl, using foul language is lacking in manners.
Who did you learn this from? Well,
I learned it from Xiao Chen.
Su Xiaoming's eyes darted, pointing at Xiao Chen. What?
Xiao Chen, who was eavesdropping on the sisters' conversation, almost hit the gas and rammed into the car in front upon hearing this. Hey, Xiaoming, I never taught you to swear.
Someone like me, with class, elegance, and handsomeness, how could I possibly use foul language? Xiao Chen turned around, unable to resist defending himself. Otherwise, he felt unjust. Pa! With your class, elegance, and handsomeness? You're clearly a piece of dried pork left out in the sun. Su Xiaoming rolled her eyes, disdainfully saying. Dried pork is good too, it's more chewy. Xiao Chen grinned, completely unfazed by Su Xiaoming's jab. Seeing the two banter, Su Qing couldn't help but smile. It seemed that her little sister was gradually accepting Xiao Chen's presence. Otherwise, she wouldn't be bickering with him.
Back at the villa, Su Xiaoming went upstairs to study, while Su Qing changed into her home clothes and started preparing dinner. As for Xiao Chen, he became idle, spending some time in his room before heading to the living room to watch TV. About half an hour later, Su Qing finished cooking, and Su Xiaoming came downstairs.
Xiao Chen, come eat.
Su Qing set the table and called out to Xiao Chen.
Dinner's ready, and you still need to be called? Do you want my sister to feed you again? Su Xiaoming said irritably.
Alright, as long as your sister is willing, I won't object.
You. Alright, stop bickering, you've been at it the whole way here. Let's eat.
Su Qing smiled helplessly and served them food.
I'm too lazy to argue with him. You know, he's our bodyguard, but if you didn't know, you'd think he's our master.
Stop it, Miss Su'er, from tomorrow onwards, I'll take care of breakfast, alright?
Xiao Chen could easily see through Su Xiaoming's little scheme and took the initiative to propose.
That's what you said, no one's forcing you. Sure enough, a hint of joy flashed in Su Xiaoming's eyes, but she pretended to be serious. Xiao Chen, don't listen to Xiaoming's nonsense.
I'll make breakfast.
Su Qing glared at her little sister and said to Xiao Chen.
Heh, it's settled then. Anyway, I can't sleep in the morning.
Also, you seem quite tired recently.
You should rest a bit more in the mornings. Xiao Chen smiled and said.
Su Qing felt a warmth in her heart and nodded, not saying anything more.
The three of them laughed and finished dinner. Xiao Chen's heart also unexpectedly calmed down. Is this the feeling of home?
After dinner, the three of them cleaned up the table together and sat on the sofa to watch TV. To the citizens of Longhai, this afternoon, XX Bank on East 39th Road was robbed. There were a total of 7 robbers, 3 of whom were killed by the police, while 4 others fled.
In the coming days, citizens are advised to reduce outdoor activities and pay attention to personal safety.
On the evening news of Longhai, the beautiful female host solemnly reported, and several surveillance screenshots appeared, showing the profile and back of the armed robbers.
They haven't been caught yet.
These police are so useless.
Su Xiaoming looked at the TV screen and sneered. Xiaoming, you should be careful these days. Don't go anywhere after school. Wait for us to pick you up. Understand?
Su Qing was worried. With 4 armed robbers around, the danger was too great.
Sis, Longhai is so big. How could I possibly run into them? Listen to me.
Okay.
I'll listen to you and come back with you after school. Su Xiaoming reluctantly agreed. When would this obedient phase end? These robbers are not ordinary.
Xiao Chen watched the TV and said slowly.
Oh?
Why do you say that?
Su Xiaoming asked curiously.
Xiao Chen didn't mention another important reason, the sense of killing intent he felt from the robbers. These guys had definitely been on the battlefield and their hands were stained with blood. They were very likely retired special forces.
Wow, that sounds so cool. Will there be Hollywood-style street shootouts? Su Xiaoming asked excitedly.
It's possible. To take down these robbers, the Longhai police will definitely have to pay a big price. As Xiao Chen spoke, a hint of doubt flashed in his eyes.
Why did they rob a bank?
If it was for money, there were many other crimes that brought in more money and had lower risks, such as kidnapping wealthy people. Initially, he thought they were just a bunch of poor lunatics with homemade guns, but now it seemed that wasn't the case.
Big bro, don't you, as a Special Forces king, feel a surge of blood and righteousness when you see this? Don't you want to take action and become a hero? Su Xiaoming goaded him. Xiao Chen glanced at her and replied, Am I bored with my life?
Besides, I'm not a Special Forces king.
I'm just a pig farmer. What? A pig farmer? Su Xiaoming widened her eyes in disbelief. Yes, let me tell you, I'm a pig-raising expert in our unit.
Su Qing helplessly tapped her forehead.
Here he goes again.
I'll go upstairs to take a shower.
You two chat. Okay. Su Xiaoming nodded and then looked at Xiao Chen. Are you bragging? Since when can pigs jump over 2 meters high? I'm not bragging. It's true. They've become spiritual. Wait, aren't you? Isn't Su Yunfei your comrade? Is he also a pig farmer?
Su Xiaoming suddenly realized something and stared at him.
If her big brother was raising pigs in the army, she couldn't accept it. Of course not.
Your big brother is a super soldier.
How could I compare to him? I'm not even worthy of being his sidekick.
While praising Su Yunfei, Xiao Chen muttered to himself. Oh, Su Yunfei, I've destroyed my own image just to enhance yours and your sister's mind.
Su Xiaoming smirked, at least you're aware of it.
Hee, Xiaoming, your big brother is a great hero.
Let me tell you some of his stories. Okay. No, I don't want to hear his stories. He's him, and I'm me. Su Xiaoming's face darkened.
Xiao Chen could only nod and change the subject.
Xiaoming, is that guy in he still bothering you? If he is, I'll help you deal with him. How will you deal with him? Su Xiaoming asked curiously.
I'll break one of his legs for you.
How about that? Xiao Chen said, pretending to be fierce. Okay, go break his leg. Xiao Chen was dumbfounded. Damn, are girls nowadays all this ruthless? Why aren't they following the script and saying they don't need that, it's too harsh, or something like that? When do you plan to break his leg? Give me a time, and I'll help you plan. Ahem, Xiaoming, didn't your teachers teach you that classmates should get along in a friendly manner, love and care for each other? TCH, if you don't have the guts to do it, then forget it, I don't want to talk to you. Su Xiaoming sneered and went upstairs. Xiao Chen watched Su Xiaoming's back, smacking his lips. Kids these days are really hard to understand. After watching TV for a while, Xiao Chen returned to his room, washed up, and lay on his bed, lost in thought. As he thought, he remembered everything that happened in Inga and looked at the bone ring on his left hand. What secrets did this ring hold? The next morning, Xiao Chen made breakfast. When the Su sisters came downstairs, the fragrant breakfast was already on the table. The golden fried eggs made one's mouth water. After gobbling down the fried eggs, Su Xiaoming reluctantly praised Xiao Chen. This made him feel surprisingly pleased, but then he cursed himself for being so pathetic. Why was he so easily pleased? After breakfast, 1 went to school and 2 went to work, beginning another busy day. Xiao Chen first walked around the company, then went to the monitoring room to check the surveillance video, and finally held a morning meeting in the security department to confirm that there were no abnormalities. Chapter 38, The Interviewer. As the recruitment fair was about to commence, time seemed to pass swiftly. On this particular morning, Xiao Chen, seldom dressed up, made an effort to appear more spirited and nimble. Genuinely handsome. Xiao Chen couldn't help but admire himself in the mirror. If I were a lady, I would certainly fall for you. After finishing his meal and arriving at the company, he immediately plunged into busyness. Though he preferred to be more of a laissez-faire manager, as the minister of the security department, this matter demanded his attention. Minister Xiao, the applicants have begun to arrive, and the formal proceedings will commence at 10 o'clock, announced Tong Yan. Tong Yan had arrived, dressed quite formally for the occasion in standard office attire. Excellent, how many applicants have arrived? Xiao Chen's gaze swept over Tong Yan, whose figure was accentuated by the crisp white blouse she wore, as he inquired with a smile. Just now at the reception, over 60 individuals have signed up, and more are arriving continuously. So many? Xiao Chen was somewhat surprised. Wasn't it just a recruitment for security personnel? In his impression, security personnel occupied the lowest tier within the company, and he assumed there wouldn't be many aspiring to join. Furthermore, the standards of the security industry in the country vary greatly. Apart from professional security companies, most security personnel were amateurs, or even elderly, weak, sick, and disabled. Thinking of some of the security guards in residential areas, typically elderly men, if various accidents were to occur, relying on these elderly men to protect the safety of the neighborhood would be less effective than hoping for Ultraman to descend from the sky. Indeed. Do these applicants include any elderly, weak, sick, or disabled individuals? No, the preliminary requirements were outlined in the recruitment advertisement. However, Tong Yan hesitated. However, what? Xiao Chen inquired upon noticing Tong Yan's hesitation. However, some are just here to join in the fun. Join in the fun? What do you mean? Xiao Chen asked curiously. Many of the applicants have ulterior motives. They are here for our female colleagues. Female colleagues? Xiao Chen was even more puzzled. Yes, it's well known that our company has many beauties, so. Tong Yan's explanation made Xiao Chen understand. It seemed that those wealthy young gentlemen all wanted to come and flirt with the ladies. However, considering the quality of the company's beauties, he chuckled. It wasn't entirely wrong for gentlemen to be drawn to such charming and refined ladies. However, causing trouble for him, Minister Xiao, just a flirt, was entirely their fault. I'll handle this matter. Since they're here, they shouldn't leave empty-handed. I must teach them a lesson. Xiao Chen grinned, beckoning a few security guards over and murmuring a few words to them. Yes, Minister Xiao. The security guards nodded eagerly and scurried off. Tong Yan, let's go. Let's have a look together, Xiao Chen said, leading Tong Yan out of the security department and into the lobby downstairs, where the applicants were gathered, chatting in small groups. Glancing over, he indeed spotted quite a few annoyingly arrogant young masters, each one tender and fair-skinned, loudly chatting and occasionally ogling the passing female colleagues. Seeing this scene, Xiao Chen sneered inwardly. Laugh now, but you'll be crying later. Hey, beautiful, care to make acquaintance? My name is Chiu Das. Suddenly, a slick-looking youth approached Tong Yan, his eyes gleaming as if he had discovered a new continent. Hello. Although reluctant to engage with this fellow, Tong Yen still smiled and nodded politely out of courtesy. Beauty, which department are you from? I'm about to join the security department. We'll be colleagues soon. How about lunch together? Come on, let's shake hands first. As Tong Yen hesitated whether to shake hands with this guy, Xiao Chen intervened. Hee, nice to meet you. I hope we can be colleagues, but let's skip the lunch invitation. Xiao Chen smiled, shaking Xiao Das's hand with a bit of force. Ouch. Let go. Xiao Das let out a painful cry, attempting to pull away from Xiao Chen's grip, only to find his hand as firm as a clamp. Xiao Chen chuckled and released Xiao Das's hand, inwardly sneering, thinking, in front of me, trying to flirt? Have some guts, would you? Xiao Das's painful cry also caught the attention of many, and they all turned to look. Several youths who were on good terms with Xiao Das approached, glaring at Xiao Chen with fierce eyes. Hee, are you all here to apply for the security position? Allow me to introduce myself. I am Xiao Chen, the minister of the security department at Qingqing Company and also the interviewer for this recruitment, Xiao Chen said with a smile, looking at the youths. Upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, the youths were all stunned. Minister? Interviewer? Even Xiao Das, rubbing his sore hand, swallowed the curse that was about to spill out of his mouth. Under normal circumstances, they might not have paid much attention to a mere minister of the security department, but today was different. Didn't they hear? He was the interviewer. Moreover, even if they came to the company to flirt, they still had to spend some time under his authority. So, it's Minister Xiao. Nice to meet you. Xiao Das's expression changed, forcing a smile, then lowered his voice. Minister Xiao, we're all here to apply. We hope we'll all make it. How about treating Minister Xiao to a feast tonight? Right, Minister Xiao, we're all counting on you. Another youth, with a lustful gaze towards Tong Yen, added with a smile. Looking at these guys, Xiao Chen smirked. Sure, I trust in your abilities. Upon hearing this, the youths felt reassured. If even the interviewer said so, then entering the company was practically guaranteed. Minister Xiao, you're really considerate. We won't bother you anymore. See you tonight. As the youths left, Tong Yen glared at Xiao Chen. Minister Xiao, how could you do this? What's wrong? President Su entrusted the recruitment task to you, trusting you. How could you let them in through the back door? Their intentions are impure, they are completely unfit for the security position. Tong Yen said indignantly. Xiao Chen was taken aback for a moment, then chuckled. This girl had quite a sense of justice. Don't worry, I was just teasing them. To join the security department, one must have real skills. Really? Of course, I never lie to women, especially to beautiful ones like you. Let's go, it's almost time to start. Prepare yourself. Glancing at his watch and sweeping his eyes across the hall, Xiao Chen's lips curled into a cold smile. He would treat this recruitment event as their flirting ground and see how he would deal with them. As time passed, it was 10 o'clock. Dingli, go and let everyone in. Sitting in the interviewer's seat, Xiao Chen said calmly yes. Dingli nodded, and soon dozens of applicants followed him inside. The applicants wore curious expressions. Wasn't it supposed to be individual interviews? Why were they all coming in together? Xiao Das and his group smiled at Xiao Chen, thinking that entering the company was already a done deal. Minister Xiao, there are a total of 83 applicants, Dingli reported. Xiao Chen nodded, slowly stood up, and scanned the room. Qingqing Company aims to recruit 20 security personnel this time, which means only a quarter of you will be selected. The requirements were clearly stated in the recruitment advertisement. Do you all think you meet the requirements? We do. The applicants responded enthusiastically, but their eyes clearly glanced at Tong Yen beside Xiao Chen, more precisely at her chest. Good. Xiao Chen smiled. What is the purpose of security personnel? Who can tell me? To safeguard the company's property and the safety of its employees, a young man in the front row said loudly. Xiao Chen nodded. Exactly, so the first requirement is to have a strong physique. I've called you all in together for an initial screening. Those without a strong physique will be eliminated. The applicants looked at each other. What did he mean? Clap, clap. Xiao Chen clapped his hands, and the door to the meeting room opened.
Several security guards brought in dumbbells and other fitness equipment, placing them in the middle. 50 squats with dumbbells, 50 bench presses with the barbell. Those who pass will proceed to the next round of interviews. Let's start with you. Xiao Chen pointed to Qiu Das standing at the left end of the front row. Qiu Das was stunned. He looked at the dumbbells and then at the barbell, feeling a chill. Let alone 50, he couldn't even do 5. Minister Xiao, you. What's the matter? Want to be a security guard but don't even have this physique? Xiao Chen looked at Qiu Das with a hint of playfulness. These wealthy young masters had long been hollowed out by indulgence in wine and women. Let alone bench presses, they probably couldn't even do 5 push-ups. Minister Xiao, we agreed just now. What did we agree on? If you can't do it, then leave. Qiu Das became angry. Who says I can't do it? With that, he stepped forward, grabbed a dumbbell, and began to squat. But he couldn't even do 10. His feet softened, his body swayed, and the dumbbell hit his foot directly, causing him to jump up, wailing in pain. Eliminated. Xiao Chen's cold voice rang out. Kid, you. Next. Xiao Chen didn't even look at him, his gaze falling on the next wealthy young master. This wealthy young master glanced at Qiu Das's plight, twitched his mouth a few times, and promptly withdrew, saying he quit. Then, several more wealthy young masters withdrew, and the real applicants began to do squats and bench presses to Xiao Chen's satisfaction. There were still capable individuals among them. With further training, they would definitely become sharp blades, at least in Longhai, they would be invincible. 2 hours passed, and of the 80-plus people, about half passed the initial screening and entered the next round of interviews. Among those eliminated, there were quite a few like Qiu Das. Old Qiu, is your foot okay? A youth in the corner asked. Damn, it still hurts. Qiu Das gritted his teeth, glaring at Xiao Chen. This guy played us. We can't let him off. Yeah, when have we ever suffered such a loss? Don't be careless. With so many security guards around, let's watch from the sidelines for now and wait for an opportunity. If it doesn't work out, we'll wait for this bastard to finish work. Several wealthy young masters nodded. This grudge must be settled. Sorry, those eliminated can leave now. Before Xiao Chen could finish, the door to the meeting room was pushed open with a bang, and Ren Koan walked in arrogantly, followed by Lu Daikue and 2 other strong men. Chapter 39, Battle in the Conference Room. The menacing arrival of the 4, accompanied by resounding echoes, drew the attention of everyone in the conference room. The newcomers appeared ominous. This was the immediate thought that surfaced in everyone's mind, especially among the security personnel. Their hearts skipped a beat. Lu Daikyu was seeking revenge. Isn't that Ren Koan? Even the wealthy young elites recognized Ren Koan. They wondered why he was here. Was he here for an interview too? No, judging by his demeanor, it seemed more like he was here to cause trouble. Xiao Chen, come here, trouble is knocking at your door. Ren Koan pointed directly at Xiao Chen, getting straight to the point. With this statement, the entire room was taken aback. Indeed, it seemed trouble had come knocking. Qiu Das and others became excited. Ren Koan had a grudge against this guy? They would watch the show for now and seize the opportunity later to strike a decisive blow. Xiao Chen glanced at Ren Koan and Lu Daikyu, feeling puzzled. How did these two end up together? Wasn't Lu Daikyu supposed to be with the Flying Eagles gang? However, despite his confusion, Xiao Chen showed no fear. They were just 2 clowns, what kind of trouble could they stir? The only thing that caught his attention was the 2 middle-aged men behind Ren Koan. By instinct, he sensed they were formidable, likely already among the top experts. Seeking trouble? Does your face not ache? Xiao Chen rose slowly, wearing a faint smile. Upon hearing this, Ren Koan's expression darkened. Kid, you're asking for it. Later, I'll make you kneel before me and beg for mercy. Exactly. Lu Daikyu stepped forward, casting a sinister gaze at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen, today you're doomed. Be wise, kneel down and apologize to young Master Ren, or else. Since when did you become Ren Koan's lackey, Lu Daikyu? Xiao Chen interrupted, mocking. Xiao Chen, spare me the chatter. I'm just joining forces against a common enemy with young Master Ren. I know you're a first-rate expert, but so what? Today, even if you are, I'll still make you kneel and beg for mercy.
Xiao Chen raised an eyebrow, gesturing towards the two middle-aged men behind Ren Kuan. Just them? Yes, just them. Ren Kuan nodded arrogantly. Two top experts. If they crush you alone, can you still be arrogant today?
As Ren Kuan's words fell, the imposing aura of the two middle-aged men became evident, causing several people's expressions to change. It was an invisible pressure.
Xiao Chen's expression turned cold. Did they really think bringing two top experts would allow them to flaunt their power here? Xiao Chen, I'll give you one last chance.
Kneel down, kowtow 3 times, and I'll spare you.
Otherwise, I'll break your legs first, then make you kneel before me. Ren Kuan savored the feeling of publicly humiliating someone, inwardly admiring Lu Daqiu's choice of ally. And me, kneel before me, apologize, then get out of the city building company. Lu Daqiu interjected arrogantly, feeling quite pleased with himself. Originally, his plan was well laid out, to eliminate Xiao Chen with the help of the Flying Eagles gang. However, he hadn't expected the internal strife within the gang, rendering them temporarily unreliable. Upon hearing that the company was recruiting security today, he couldn't sit still, rushing to find Ren Kuan. They conspired to publicly humiliate Xiao Chen and then have him slink away in shame. So today, they came, flaunting their power. Heh, kneel? Break my legs?
Xiao Chen chuckled, but his eyes turned icy.
I haven't heard such words in a long, long time. Young Master Ren, deal with this brat, count me in.
Suddenly, Shoda shouted, hobbling out from the corner, his face twisted into a grimace.
Ren Kuan turned to look, surprised. Shodas, what are you doing here? I'm here to pick up girls. But let's not dwell on that. After we deal with this brat, my brothers should get a piece of him too. What, you have a grudge against Xiao Chen too?
Not only does Chiu have a grudge against him, we all have grudges against him.
Several wealthy young elites approached. Xiao Chen prevented them from flirting with girls in the company, and each harbored resentment. Xiao Chen, just how many people have you offended? Ren Kuan looked at these young elites, somewhat surprised and mocking. Lu Daqiu was also delighted. This guy had only been in Longhai for a few days, yet he had offended so many people. Even if he didn't die today, he would certainly suffer greatly. Enough talk. Once we deal with you, the interviews will continue. Xiao Chen stepped out from behind the table, looking at Ren Kuan's group with a calm tone. It seems you're not shedding tears until you see the coffin? Fine, today you'll learn, my surname is Ren, and I can damn well be willful. Ren Kuan pointed at Xiao Chen, shouting loudly. Others might not fully grasp the meaning behind his words, but Xiao Chen understood. On the day he slapped Ren Kuan, he had uttered the phrase, just because your surname is Ren doesn't mean you can act willfully. It seemed this guy held a grudge, remembering that phrase vividly. Jun Gu, Bao Gu, take care of him for me. Ren Kuan pointed at Xiao Chen, addressing the two middle-aged men. This little guy, I can handle him alone. The man called Bao Gu looked at Xiao Chen with some disdain. Heh, come on, I've been wanting to deal with someone lately.
Xiao Chen chuckled lightly, but his eyes grew colder. Since arriving in Longhai, he hadn't figured out the situation with the threatening letters and bugs. Although he didn't show it on the surface, a fire burned within him. Now, he intended to let off some steam. Though it wasn't as satisfying as venting on women, it would do for now. Xiao Chen, who's trying to deal with you? Suddenly, a hearty voice rang out from the conference room door. Then heavy footsteps approached, and a huge figure entered. Upon hearing the voice, Xiao Chen revealed a genuine smile from the heart. Everyone in the conference room looked up at the newcomer. How did this guy look? He was so darned huge. Just you, trying to deal with my brother Xiao Chen? Li Hanhao strode forward, ignoring the odd gazes around him, and stood in front of Bao Gu, glancing down at him, his voice rumbling. Bao Gu, about 1.8 meters tall, seemed dwarfed by Li Hanhao. He looked up, a cold expression crossing his face. And who are you? Get out of the way. If you want to mess with my brother Xiao Chen and tell me to scram, you must be up to no good. Take this punch first. Li Hanhao muttered to himself, raising his huge fist and smashing it towards Bao Gu. Seeking death. Bao Ji's expression grew colder, swiftly throwing a punch. Bang! Their fists collided, and Bao Ji's face showed a hint of pain as he staggered back. This scene changed many people's expressions. Even novices could tell who was stronger.
Especially Lu Daqiu, his eyes widened. Who was this big guy? Why was he so powerful? Mom told me, if I don't die, my brother Xiao Chen won't get hurt. If you want to deal with him, I'll deal with you first. Li Hanho's fighting spirit surged, his muscles tensing, like pieces of iron attached to his body. Then he swung his fists towards Bao Gu. Bao, watch out. The other middle-aged man's face changed. This big guy was also a master, and his combat power might even exceed theirs. Kill! Bao Gu shouted, dodging Li Hanho's fist and launching a fierce counterattack. However, his counterattack seemed feeble compared to Li Hanho's swift and domineering assault. Watching the two in combat, Xiao Chen didn't intervene. He trusted Li Hanho's strength, even against a top expert. The people around, including those who came to apply for security positions, widened their eyes. This was more thrilling than a movie. And was this guy even human? He was like a raging brown bear. Mountain opening cannon. Li Hanho roared, his powerful fist slamming towards Bao Gu. Bang! 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 Bao Gu took 3 steps back, his face extremely pale. He swallowed hard, blood seeping from the corners of his mouth. With your level, you still want to deal with my brother Xiao Chen? Li Hanho sneered, clenching his fist. Take 3 more punches from me. Bao, I'll help you. The other middle-aged man rushed towards Li Hanho, aiming a punch at his back. Xiao Chen raised an eyebrow, about to intervene, but before he could, a thunderous roar echoed. Good timing, let's fight. Li Hanho kicked towards Bao Gu, then balanced on one foot, spinning his massive body around. His arms spread out like windmills, striking towards the other middle-aged man who had tried to ambush him. Bang! The man staggered back several steps, his arms tingling. He was shocked by Li Hanho's immense strength. Jun, you attack from the front, I'll attack from behind. Bao Ji's face turned ugly. Originally, they had come to show off their power, but now, before dealing with Xiao Chen, they were almost beaten by this big fool. Okay. The middle-aged man nodded, launching another attack from the front, while Bao Gu attacked from behind. Bang! 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 Despite being surrounded, Li Hanho held his own. His 8 extremes fist was fierce and unstoppable, occasionally supplemented with Paigua fist's long-range attacks. 8 extremes fist, Paigua fist. Lu Daqiu's gaze narrowed, thinking of the phrase 8 extremes plus Paigua, even gods and ghost sphere. He couldn't wait any longer. If this big guy won, how would he take revenge? With this in mind, he didn't hesitate any longer, shouting, I'll help you guys too. Then he rushed towards Li Hanho. Seeking death. Xiao Chen's eyes turned cold. With a swift movement, he appeared in front of Lu Daqiu in an instant. Bang! In the next moment, Xiao Chen's foot landed on Lu Daqiu's abdomen, and he screamed in pain, flying backward. Big Han, leave it to me. Xiao Chen could see that although Li Hanho wasn't losing, it was impossible for him to win against 2 people. So it was better not to waste time and end the fight. Okay. Li Hanho nodded, punching out twice. Then his massive body retreated, leaving the battlefield. If you want to deal with me, you have to see if you have the strength for it. As Xiao Chen spoke, his imposing aura spread throughout the room. Bao Gu and the others felt it, their faces changing drastically, blurting out in shock, martial arts. Master?